I think the simple question for you is, what do you do for an encore?
Try to do as good as last year or better, and that's our goal is to do better. Our goal is to win the national championship. I don't think I've ever had a team that the goal was that clear. Like they really believe they can win it. I think they believe they should win it, and we realize the difficulty to do that. I mean, 300 teams trying to do the same thing, there's only one way to win it, and there's a lot of ways to lose along the way.
When we talked to you a couple of weeks ago, you quoted Nick Saban.
It's nice to get the attention and nice to get the respect, but it's rat poison, as Saban says.
Is he one of your favorite coaches for you to learn from? I noticed your bookcase over there, and I know there's a Saban book sitting over there.
Yeah, you know, fans love winners and coaches love winners. Like I always loved to follow John Wooden as a kid. I liked following Bobby Knight. His coaching personality is not what I want mine to be, but his X and O's and there were so many great things that Bobby Knight did that made him a great coach. Bill Belichick's a good example. He knew how to win, whether you liked certain things or certain things you didn't like, but he knew how to win. So I like to read and I like to follow and I like to emulate certain things off certain coaches and yeah, Saban obviously.
What's your favorite book on the shelf?
Probably the old John Wooden book about the pyramid and the value of building up to a higher level, and that's just a book that I started reading when I was like 12 years old. So maybe just because of that, but I always admired Johnny Wooden. I thought he was a really unique, classy individual, kind of like Tim Tebow. His faith was really important to him, and he definitely had high values, and he was from that Indiana, Illinois area. That's why I identified with him from the Midwest standpoint.
I noticed a couple of Tebow books up there. I also noticed two of one copy from Sue Glasgow. What's that book mean to you?
My mom was a writer, so my mom wasn't a sports person. She was she was a speech teacher, journalism was her passion, and writing. Up till the day she died, she loved to write. And so she wrote a book about our childhood.
Is there a lot about you in there?
I was the only boy, and the girls were more well behaved than I was, so more than there should be in here. In a perfect world, she'd lived in an urban area on a college campus and been a college professor, but she married my dad who wanted to farm, so she was up in this little country town. And she wrote for the local newspapers and sold magazine articles and then taught in high schools and junior colleges around that area. We lost Mom a couple of years ago, so I can read that book and it's like I'm talking to her or like she's talking to me. And so that's fun for me.
We know your history and your hunting history. What's your favorite part of the history of you and hunting?
Well, I don't think of myself as a coach. I think of myself as a dog trainer because that was my passion, and it still is. I mean, every day. I mean, this morning I'm out with my dogs. I like to hunt, but anything with a dog. I like a lab if I'm hunting any kind of waterfowl or if I'm shooting doves. I don't want to just shoot doves. I want to have a dog picking them up, and I really enjoy communicating and learning to work a young dog and make it become better. And because you can't verbally communicate, so to speak, you can learn certain little commands, but it's more of understanding that learning process and how a dog learns step at a time, which really translates over into coaching. And I think if you look back at my hitting as a hitting coach, the best year I've ever had as a hitting coach was my first year at Georgia. And I came straight from that hunting world of training dogs. But I think it was because at that time I was so used to going little bitty tiny step to another little bitty tiny step to another little bitty tiny step. And that's really what hitters need. They need you to do it step by step by step.
How do you put a lineup together knowing you probably got 3, 4, maybe more starters sitting on the bench?
I don't think it's about what Gerry Glasco wants. It's about what the team wants. And I have to be able to perceive and read and find out what makes this team tick and what makes it play at the highest level. And if the team says, no, we want it, you play the best 9 just like you always have, just like everybody else does. Just, that's what they perceive. And that's how they're functioning the best, then I'll have to go that route. If they want to rotate and we want to get more people involved, that's great. And if that makes us click, then and that's what we'll be trying to find, that balance of what do we want as a team. So it ultimately comes down to everybody together. Coaches, players have to be on the same page.
You got so many new faces out of the transfer portal. How important is Kaitlyn Terry going to be for this program? Not just this year, but next year as well, as she kind of transitions, I guess, into that Nigeria role.
Yeah, I think it's very fair to compare her to Niger. Like, she's an All-American pitcher. She's been to the World Series. She's carried her team on her back down a critical part of the season, both as a freshman and as a sophomore. She's been a huge part of the UCLA's trips to the World Series. She's a player that is very much a winner. She's extremely competitive, much like Nyjah. Their mental approach to the game and their approach in a circle, very, very similar. So she's going to be a huge part of this team for the next 2 years. She's worked really hard on her offensive game, and I think it's going to be a lot like Nyjah last year. We'll see how much she grew. And I think we've worked on trying to add a little bit more power. I think we're going to see more doubles and home runs out of her offensively. But she's a good base runner. She can lay down a bunt. She can steal a base. She can turn a double into a triple with her speed. And then I think one thing that people don't know is how good an outfielder and how good a first baseman. She is an elite level first baseman. She's an elite level outfielder with a great arm. So she's a kid that when she can really help you in the circle pitching, but then on the off days when she's playing right field or left field or first base, and she could play center field. We got Maya Davis, but anywhere in the outfield I put her, she's elite. And that was the biggest surprise for me. I knew she was a great pitcher. I didn't realize how great a defender she is.
It just makes it more difficult, especially at first base. I know you're not here given in lineups, but how do you work the rotation at first base?
Yeah, I don't know the lineup, and I just know that we've got a lot of players that's got themselves in a position. Jazzy Burns has been on fire the whole spring. And, she wasn't real comfortable in the fall. We didn't see that offensive output from Jazzy like we saw at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. But then this January and February, so far in the month of January as we go into February, Jazzy's been lights out. And so that's kind of what it's going to come down to. The opening day line is going to be the hottest hitters we've got. I am going to throw Nyjah opening day, and I'm going to have Nyjah in the lineup hitting opening day because I think the fans expect that. Our team expects that. We ended the year as a Nyjah Kennedy-led team, and we're going to start the year as a Nyjah Kennedy-led team. And I think in a perfect world, that may evolve to where the rest of the team comes up and elevates itself, and maybe it's a Nyjah Kennedy and Kaitlyn Terry-led team. We'll let the new players with so much talent, Jazzy, Taylor Panel, Mia Williams, Desi Spearman. Those are all elite athletes that'll jump in and join the elite athletes like Alana Johnson and Maya Davis and Lauren Allred. And we got to mix it all together.
Another person from last year's team that we haven't mentioned yet, honestly, a pretty important part in the postseason, and Hailey Toney. What growth do you want to see from her freshman season to this year?
Just I don't know that we need her to grow. We just need her to stay at that high level that she was the last half of the season. She was so good defensively the last 30 games of the year, all the Big 12 season, all the playoffs. I think she didn't make an error from the beginning of the Big 12 to the finals of the World Series. So that's amazing when you think about a freshman shortstop doing that. So if we see that same, just anywhere near that level of maturity and that level of play, we're fine. She's stronger this year. She's physically stronger. There's no doubt she's mentally stronger because she's been through the wars of last year, and she has that experience to fall back on and to gain confidence from. And then offensively, she's an amazing player. Like, she could bat leadoff, she could bat two. And the great thing about Hailey, and I call her Captain Toney now because we made her a captain going into her sophomore year, which is very unusual. And just shows the amount of respect I have for her as a leader and a player.
The last time you guys played in front of a crowd was in Oklahoma City, which was a lot of Texas Tech fans. What do you expect from the crowd here at Rocky Johnson Field now that they know what you guys can do?
I think it's going to be a near standing room crowd every night. I really do. With what we saw at the World Series and the fan base, the way they showed up at Oklahoma City, and the love that I felt from the fans when we got back home and this fall, I think it's going to be a phenomenal experience playing here at home.
All right, Coach, we appreciate your time. Next time you drive from Lubbock to Tallahassee, when you were walking out last year, you asked if anybody wanted to ride with you. I'll take you up on that if you let me ride with you.
Well, you had understand I'm a lot better coach and driver if you made that trip, but you would have fun. So you're welcome to come. But I don't think I got to do that this year.
You got somebody to do
I
that.
think I got that arranged.
All right, appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.